Hopper, we're doing Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Those, the tickets, the Monday, I mean, okay.
Oh, I need a reverence. Volunteer for pledge. All right, it's 7 o'clock, so we'd like to start our meetings on time. I'd like to welcome you all out to the Planning Commission meeting. Can I be heard? Can you guys hear me? Okay, because we're always wondering about these microphones. And I'm getting really close to it. So welcome. We're glad that you're here. We're going to open our meeting tonight by having a pledge of allegiance led by Commissioner Sheldon Greener and our reverence by Commissioner Nate Plat.
Our Heavenly Father, we are grateful that we could be here this evening as a planning commission and as citizens of this great city of Hooper. We're grateful for the bountiful blessings which we enjoy. Please bless us as we go over the agenda tonight, that we'll be able to uphold the laws and ordinances of the city and also take into account the thoughts and feelings of the citizens that pertain to this meeting. We're grateful for the freedoms that we enjoy, grateful for the armed servicemen and servicewomen that protect our freedoms. Watch over and bless them. Again, watch over us this night. We're grateful and acknowledge thy hand in all things and give thee thanks, and do so in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Okay, the first item on our agenda this evening. Actually, I just wanted to make an announcement that it was noticed that there would be a meeting tonight concerning the Parker Estate subdivision that was 18 lots. They have withdrawn that. It's been pulled from the agenda this evening because their packet was incomplete. They just didn't have all of the documents. So if anyone's here in regard to that item on the agenda, I'm just letting you know that it's not going to be discussed this evening. Okay. Moving on, the first thing we need to do is approve the minutes of our two previous meetings, one dated June 10th, 2021, Commissioners, have you had an opportunity to read through those minutes? And are there any modifications you've? All right, seeing no changes necessary for the June 10th minutes, I would entertain a motion to approve them.
Approve the minutes for the June 10th, 2021 Planning Commission minutes.
A second on that motion?
I'll second.
So we have a motion from Commissioner Prince and a second from Commissioner Greener. All those in favor?
Aye.
And the second Planning Commission minutes were from Thursday, July 8th. Again, have you had an opportunity to read over those, and are there any changes that you would like to see made? No? Okay, the only thing that I noticed on here was in the city business, the motion was made to approve the conditional use permit for a detached living structure. I think we kind of commonly refer to those as accessory dwelling units, ADUs. So I wondered if we could have that changed in our minutes. Teresa? Okay, thank you. I just think, commissioners, do you agree or disagree?
Mark?
Commonly call them ADUs or accessory dwelling units, so I thought we ought to stay with the same nomenclature. Other than that, any other changes or modifications? Seeing none, then I would also entertain a motion to approve the minutes for Thursday, July 8th, Planning Commission.
I'll motion that we approve the minutes for Thursday, July 8th, 2021.
Commissioner Wilcox to approve these. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
By Commissioner Plat, is there all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That being taken care of, the first item on our city business this evening is a public hearing to consider a conditional use permit for an oversized structure of 2,592 square foot located at 3749 South, 5500 West, and this is for Christopher and Amanda Johnston. Is there someone here representing the Johnstons? Would you like to come forward and again, give us your name and address, please? Thank you. Can you tell us, just give us a little bit of background on what you have planned for this oversized structure?
Yes, ma'am. Is that better?
That's perfect. Yes,
Awesome.
thank you.
So military brought us here to this area, tail end of my service in the Air Force. So my wife, Rose, and I decided to settle down upper.
Go on.
And Hupper seems like a wonderful place to be. So we purchased a house.
Can I help
Sorry?
you with something? You.
I'm his wife. I'm just
Yes,
here with him.
Amanda. No, what, I, I just want you to not feel like an outsider. So if you pronounce it Hooper.
I say
everybody will
Hooper to
know.
one
If
person,
you say Hupper,
they say Hupper
you're out of
back.
trouble.
So
Just a little friendly. Welcome to Hooper.
thank you, ma'am. Great to be here. So we purchased a house, residence in question. Originally had a shop in place.
Uh-huh.
So there's concrete there. Back about a year ago, it burned down. We don't introduce ourselves as Johnstons. We introduce ourselves as the people that bought that property. So everyone gets a pretty good kick out of it. But we're excited. We're excited to build that structure, put that structure back. We have animals, need storage for some of our equipment and things like that.
Okay. All right. Good. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the Johnstons?
I just had one question on the application where you are supposed to address certain issues on the back of the application. I noticed that you had addressed the easements and the fencing. Just for the record, are there any issues with traffic problems, business operations, safety issues, pollution, noise, odors, easement, or excuse me, not easements, use of structure, parking or design, any of those things that they just weren't addressed on the back? So I just want for clarification to,
So the answer to your question is no, I don't feel like there's anything that discuss, but are new here. Or due diligence as says anything specific. I'm building a shop, upper, anything that you've seen and experienced. Happy to entertain. Anything as far as since the setbacks, that was some concern. Hey, city inspector, easements are it's 20-foot side street there because we are on a lot, 5-foot.
Okay. And this looks like it's going to be a Cleary building, so you
Yes, ma'am.
contracted for someone to come in and build it for you.
Before the inflation.
Good for you.
This says it has plumbing. Is that plumbing already installed in the concrete floor that's there?
Negative.
So they're busting it out to install all that?
Not all of it.
Google Maps actually has some original pictures of building and then it would. So
So you're just going to have one big building, okay. All right. Okay, any other questions for the Johnsons?
welcome to Hooper. We're
Thank
happy to
you.
have you guys.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. No.
We've had great luck getting to know the neighbors. It's been fantastic. So
And you said 3 little girls? or-
3 girls, yes, ma'am.
Awesome.
And thank you for your service. We appreciate you. Okay. That's all we need from you right now. Thank you very much. We'll bring it back here to the commission. I guess I could ask if there, is there any, anyone here that would like to make public comment regarding this item on our agenda? Evening? Okay, seeing none, then I'll close the public comment. Commissioners, do you have any discussion? Okay, seeing none, then let's entertain a motion for Christopher and Amanda Johnston.
I'll motion that we approve the conditional use permit for an oversized structure for Christopher and Amanda Johnston at 3749 South, 5500 West.
Have a motion from Commissioner Prince, sorry. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And we have a second from Commissioner Greener. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. Welcome. Glad to have you here. The next item on our agenda this evening is a recommendation for a final plat for the Miles subdivision located at 4600 South and 6300 West. This is for Brant Miles. I think we have a presentation from our engineers.
So we recommend moving forward with a final plat approval Miles Farm subdivision. It is located on the corner of 6300 West, 4600 South. It is going to be 4 lots in the R2 zone. Total of 2.5.
That was shown in red.
Yes. You want me to go back?
I'm good.
So here is the final plat that's been reviewed. The key issues from staff are that all the comments from the staff reviews have now been adequately addressed. This includes the final approval letters from Hooper Water Improvement District and Hooper Irrigation Company. This development will include curb, gutter, and sidewalk that will tie into the existing subdivision on the east on 4600 South, continue around the corner onto 6300 West. Developer has agreed to participate in the costs of some downstream storm drain improvements. Are there any questions about these?
To bring it up now, but just my question was just on the drainage portion of the lots, just, I just wanted Tracy to verify in fact the drainage, because the top back of curb appears to me is higher than the front elevation of the lot. And it just might not be me understanding, but and I'm sure Tracy passed it off, so I'm sure he did his homework, but I just wanted to verify that. And then also that home that's to the east of them, just so that drainage is not drained. His field's probably okay, but where his house sits, just make sure that that doesn't drain onto his property where his house sits. So those are my only. Looked like he passed it off, but I just wanted to make sure, because it appears that the top back of curb is higher than, but through final grading and stuff, they might be able to take care of it. Sure, well, they're here, so they could probably explain that, so.
And I actually did reach out to Tracy since you asked the question. He said that the drainage does show it goes from the back of the lot to the front, and that Jared vetted it more carefully than he does on most subdivisions. We even reached out to the developers with this concern, and everything looks to be addressed. Satisfaction.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, representatives from the Mile subdivision? Good.
Brant Miles, 381 South Buffalo Drive, Syracuse, Utah. Our Dad and I are the developers on this piece, and
Mr. Johnson, can you go us back to the plat map, please?
Yes, I can. Yes, I
be
can.
friends with the mic. I'm not doing very good, am I? Yeah. A little too tall for it or something. Oh, I can move it. I can take it out even, huh? You don't want me to have it in my hand. I'm gonna do a lot more talking.
There you go. Thank you. So, yeah, I think it was lot 4.
Yeah, that was the one that was in question that we spent a lot of time on actually getting the drainage right. So that's a valid question that you had, Bryce. We did go back and forth, and I think we've got it handled.
So the back of curb is.
Yeah, there's going to be fill brought in, and obviously it'll slope towards front to back. And everybody will retain their own water on that lot, those lots, like standard. So it should be owned by the landowner that's going to own that property.
Okay. I have a question, not a question, just a comment regarding the irrigation work, that irrigation canal that goes along the east side of your property from 46, I think it flows north. Is that correct? I'm not sure.
There's one on the bottom so it would be the west side of the properties, and then also on the south side.
West side and south side. Okay. So it just says in here, the work on the irrigation system associated with this with this subdivision has to be coordinated with the irrigation company so that the water users are not affected.
Right, which we've also met with them,
Right.
and we'll pipe that and finish filling it over so they can use it. If they want to stub on the end of our property where we stop at and continue to go out, then they can.
You just know that you can't commence that construction until after the irrigation season is over.
Right, and we're not planning it. So yeah, that's a good point.
And if what we understand is that ditch should be empty by September.
Right. Yeah, I know, right? The water issues,
Which is good for you, but bad for the rest of the community that's trying
Right.
to irrigate. That's the only comment that I had about it was. And then I understand that you're also indicated in writing the willingness to participate in some of the future downstream storm drain
yeah,
improvements that are going to be necessary down 4600 there. And,
trying to play ball with everybody.
well, and
Yeah.
you know, we appreciate that because
Uh,
it is a growing city.
Right.
And if it wasn't you people trying to make it grow, we wouldn't have to
That's right.
increase the improvements. So, you know, if we play ball.
Yeah,
together.
sure. Hope I agree. That's great.
That's my only comments on that. Commissioners, do you have any other questions for Mr. Miles? No? And I just have to say that I'm really glad that this is only 4 lots, that you didn't try and somehow finagle 5 into there, because it would have been really wonky.
Yeah, we tried to initially, as you probably saw from the original plat, but it just didn't work well. So yeah, I had that flag lot on it and
We just got 4.
right, really
good-sized
simple,
lots, and
right.
I think this is going to be a nice addition to our.
Yeah, it should be some nice homes on there, hopefully. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. We don't have
Thank
any other
you.
questions for you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. See if I can get this back on.
There you go. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to make comment regarding this issue, to this item on our agenda? We need your name and address, please, sir.
Blake Severing, 5247 South, 7100 West, Upper. My only question is, I noticed on the bottom, developer agreed to participate in some downstream stormwater improvements. Was that a request by the planning commission, number one? And number two, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean he's gonna throw $1,000 at it and the city's on the hook for the rest of it? I mean, I've got property that I'm looking at possibly developing in the near future down on 71. And so that was my 2 questions. The planning commission request help, number 2, when they participate in the cost of some of it. Was it a $5,000 bill? Is it a $20,000? I don't know much construction. I mean, I think it's good. I know exactly where it's at and I think it's great. I just have that question. It's kind of open.
Okay.
In the, I hate to get.
I will read to you the comment that was made here by our city engineers and city staff. It says, a recent larger development in this area has prompted the city to review the downstream storm drain facilities below 6300 West. And it's been determined that they are inadequate for additional storm drainage. You know that because you live down there. In an effort to mitigate this concern, the developer of a nearby 24-lot subdivision has offered $10,000 towards future downstream storm drain improvements, which works out to $417 per lot. In fairness to all, the city has also asked this 4-lot subdivision to participate in future upgrades at the same cost per lot.
Perfect.
So that's how we did that.
All right. Good enough.
Initiated by the staff.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was not.
I didn't
commission.
see a cost, so it was like,
Right.
wonder what that means.
So it's just a little over $400 per lot is how it's sitting right now. That's not something that's been established as policy. Because
That's
we'll have
about-
to look and see what costs end up.
About one section of 18-inch pipe.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments regarding this item on our agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commissioners. Do you have any other discussion? Then we'll entertain a motion on the application for this final approval. Now, this is a recommendation to city council for a final plat for the Miles subdivision.
I'll recommend final plat approval to the city council for the Miles subdivision located at 4600 South, 6300 West of Grant Miles.
Have a motion for Plat,
I'll second it.
Wilcox. All those in favor?
Aye.
I would like to recommend, or not recommend, but advise you that because of the Hooper Tomato Days, which will involve the, our planning commission usually meets the second and the fourth Thursdays, or city council, we're gonna move everything up a week or two. So it'll go through faster. So this will be on the agenda for next Thursday's city council. Right. So Tomato Days is a big deal. Take precedence over everything. Okay, the next item on our agenda is a public hearing and recommendation for final plat for, I want to say, is it Marcia or Marcia? Marcia? For Marcia Parker Farms subdivision. It's a one-lot subdivision located at 5319 South, 7100 West, approximate address. And I think Mr. Johnson has a presentation for us.
Yes, I do. We would like to recommend the final plat approval for Parker Farm subdivision located at 5319 South, 7100 West. It is one lot on 2.7 acres in the R1 zone. Is this area in red? Here is the plat that has been reviewed and approved. The key issues from the staff are all of the items from the city staff review memos have now been completed. Final plat and improvement drawings have been updated, including the piping of the irrigation ditch along the street in front of this lot. Final will serve letters have been provided by Hooper Weber Water Improvement District, Hooper Irrigation Company. Pressure irrigation is not available at this location, but adequate water shares are available when that system is extended. Final approval has been provided by the Weber Fire Marshal. Other required will serve letters have also been provided. Land use separation fence has been recommended by the city staff along the eastern and northern boundaries of this lot. The city staff is recommending escrow for curb, gutter, and sidewalk. Are there any questions?
So those are the recommendations. Have they agreed to those, or like, is that, I mean, if we're gonna be recommending this, are those?
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Johnson? Okay. Do we have a representative here for Marcia Parker? Please step forward and state your name and current address.
Before we're good, Teresa. So one thing we want to request, this is a parcel that's carved off of a family-owned. The family and Marcia is requesting that this land use separation be waived in this situation. And then also we escrowing for the curb gutter and side.
So which boundaries are you requesting?
I can't put this back.
They're all in family.
Do we have anything in writing from the adjacent family owners that would say that they also agree to waiving the land use separation fence? I believe we will require that. I think, I think
Well, so
Where it's,
whose property is the pond?
Parker's.
But it's multiple owners, not just her. Is that you're saying you want the other owners of that property to? So you're saying you want the other owners of that, Mary?
Yes. Yeah, I'm saying the other owners of of the adjacent property that's agricultural use. We want a letter from them saying that they agree to waive the land use separation fence on the east and south borders of your property. Okay? North and east. Okay. So, I also had a question, just how this was resolved, Chris, and you as an engineer can help us. The narrative states that there's an encroachment of the Mudrow Meadows along the north line of this subdivision. And it said, please show that encroachment on the plat. Well, I haven't seen the plat, so I can't say where that encroachment is, but how was that resolved if there is an encroachment? It's item number 4 on the memo. Okay, and I see that our city engineer has said it's okay, that they've satisfied it. I was just curious, how did it get resolved? Because of, I mean, encroachments don't just go away. I think city council would be interested in hearing that. Um, So then we talked about the ag land, and we will want that in writing, the land use separation fence. I think to staff would be sufficient. Well, we sent it to me as well. The item number 9 on the memo from our staff also says street frontage improvements, curb gutter and sidewalk are required on all developments. The city staff is recommending escrow of funds in lieu of any construction at this time. Escrow it, okay. And then Cooper Irrigation Company has said that they cannot serve pressurized, and you're aware of that, but there's enough shares that can be turned in at some time when, so you'll retain enough ownership of, okay. Right, and that's what you, so you'll just need to retain enough water shares to be able to, when pressurized irrigation comes your way, that you can turn in a share to obtain the water.
so, sorry, you have 1 share in your name? And the lot is 2 acres, or how big is the lot?
But the one individual lot is 2.7 acres. Your individual lot that we're looking at today is going to be 2.7 acres. Okay, and you have 1 acre, 1 share of water. I don't, is that sufficient?
I don't think normally it is, but I mean, where Hooper Irrigation has provided a letter saying that they're sufficient. I don't know if she's part owner, maybe in the other shares that go with the farm, or so it's just gonna be partly improved and the rest will be pasture or, okay. Okay, I just wanted to clarify to make sure we had enough.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Cave? All right, thanks.
Glad to-
Appreciate it. Yeah, you didn't even get lost once. Yeah. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here who is wanting to make comment regarding this request for Marcia Parker, one lot subdivision? Okay, seeing none, then we'll close public comment, bring it back here to commissioners. Based on what we talked about. Do you have any other discussion? So. Then let's entertain a motion regarding the request for Marcia Fowers, Parker Farms. Fowers, sorry,
Parker.
you're not a Fowers. Marcia Park. That was bad. Okay.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, I make a recommendation for final plat approval for Marcia Parker Farm Subdivision located at 5319 South 7100 West. That the key issues from city staff recommended for that final plat approval, other than the land use separation, be waived with the adjacent owners of the current property and letters of recommendation there that they're okay with that land use separation, fence being waived.
Want that letter in writing.
We want that letter in writing before the go to city council. And escrow for curb and gutter, correct.
Have a motion from Commissioner Plat. Is someone
I'll
else?
second it.
Second from Commissioner Wilcox. All those in favor of this?
Aye.
Aye.
Right. So you know what you need to do. Okay. All right, the last item on our agenda this evening is a application for a single lot subdivision for Josh Gooch subdivision located approximately 6540 West, 5100 South in Hooper. Do you have a presentation for us, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, I do. We recommend approving the Josh Gooch subdivision located at 6595 West, 5100 South. It is one lot on 1 acre, in the R1 zone. Here is the plat that has been reviewed. All of the items in the city staff's review memos have been completed, including will serve letters. An agreement between the subdivision and the owner of the remainder agricultural parcel has been submitted defining the measures that will be taken to prevent irrigation water runoff from impacting this new lot. Regarding land use separation fence recommended by city staff, both property owners have indicated that they would not wish to have the fence required at this time, and that if it is to be installed later, it will be the responsibility of Josh Gooch. The city staff is recommending escrow for curb, gutter, and sidewalk. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Appreciate that. Is there a representative here for Josh Gooch? You're not Josh? Okay. You're the dad. Okay, all right. Okay, so do you want to give us any background or anything, any comments that you have to make about this request? Mm-hmm. Okay. Again, 6-foot tall land use separation fence. I see here that it's usually required between that, and you're requesting that it be waived. Have you got a letter from adjacent property owners? So there is a letter, a written letter.
We have reviewed it.
Have reviewed it? Okay. It just didn't say in here that it was, because we talked about. Okay. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Gooch? We like these when they're like this.
Fun lot. Cut and
Vision. Nice. Okay. It is a public meeting, so we will open it up to any public comments regarding this item on our agenda. If anyone has anything to say about it? Seeing none, then we'll close public comment, bring it back. Secondary water is not available down there. So I forgot to ask, do you have a share of water? So in the future, if we get secondary water down that way, you would have a water share that you could turn in, or a half share, I guess it would require. Okay.
I don't know if I missed it, but he's escrowing the curb and gutter, right?
Sorry, I didn't read that. Letter has been received from Hooper Irrigation. Says that there's adequate shares to serve this lot once pressure irrigation is extended far enough to serve. Sorry, I missed that. Okay. No further discussion, then we would entertain a motion here to regarding the Josh Gooch.
I'll give it a shot. You guys help me out with this.
Recommendation to city council because it is a one-lot subdivision.
We're going to recommend that city council approve Josh Gooch subdivision at 6595 West, 5100 South, with recommendation of escrowing curb and gutter sidewalk. The address up, yeah, it's different in here than on up there.
Okay.
Address can be
I assumed it was that.
6595. You haven't.
Go back and find that.
Okay.
6595.
Okay, we're going with that.
That's it. So good.
Sorry, the application.
I know.
I was kinda
That kind of
thrown
threw
off
me
on that.
too. So I did.
Oh, you did? I totally, sorry, it was just addressed. I'll just be quiet.
We don't need to say anything about the fence because it's already
Have a
taken care of.
letter. They have already submitted a letter with the adjacent property owner, so we're okay on that one. Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Greener to recommend approval to city council for the Josh Gooch application. Do we have a second on this? And we have a second from Commissioner Prince. So all those in favor?
Aye.
That is the end of the items of city business that are on our agenda tonight. We can now open up this meeting to any citizen comments. If you have something regarding anything new or an item that you would like to bring up. And we're happy to hear from you if you have something to say. And everybody's happy. Seeing no comments, then we will close the citizen comments. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay,
Have some people that live near me have made some comments about Tim Alter's. I think it's Tim Alter's subdivision. And I guess the weeds are extremely high. Wind comes, it's dusty. And so I did a little investigation. I looked at I think it's Article 9, Chapter 4 on the nuisance ordinance. And so I would, in all fairness to those neighbors that are having to deal with that, I'd like to recommend to the city council that they look at that particular article and chapter and maybe send Tim, Mr. Alders, a letter. He's got to take some. Okay. And do that and put it in motion.
okay.
Perfect. That's great. So
So you can pass that on to your people in your area because I
didn't
honestly
know how
didn't
to
know how it was
initiate it.
handled either, so we didn't. So they just fill out an ordinance complaint. Okay. Good to know. Okay, thank you.
No, it just barely came into,
That barely came in, but wasn't that regarding last month's meeting?
I was just curious what it was because it wasn't on our agenda tonight and is that what that is
Well,
with
I think that's
the,
when we recommended that they come back, be a part of the meetings, was the gentleman and the lady. Yeah. Wasn't that?
500 West?
Yep.
Okay, I just wasn't sure why we got it, so, okay.
Brought up building moratorium with secondary one. Last
I don't.
Really need Brandon here to ring that past.
Talk to our legal people and.
Ordinances require it, so it's not out of our boundaries as we're going after it, right? And I think, I personally think, my opinion is for smaller, like things we did today, 1 and 2s and maybe 5 or less, fine, let them go through. I mean, it's not a big deal, but big subdivisions, it's a big deal, in my opinion. Yeah. So, we know Brandon's gonna be here next meeting, does anybody know?
So based on that, we as a planning commission were thinking that we ought to present to city council that we put a moratorium on any new building permits because they can't be provided with secondary water. Right. And so.
So I'm confused, so if Hope Irrigation is giving
Bill, sir?
letters to them, do we have any teeth basically with our ordinances still say, sorry, we don't have any water? I mean, I think we have.
So if we've got a 30 lot subdivision out there at the north end of Hooper that was approved several months ago, or last winter even. And now we're in a drought. But they still keep coming in and applying for building permits, because don't they apply for one on each individual lot? And so at what point in time can we say, there's no water, we can't give you any more building permits?
Moratorium's good until they say otherwise, right? I mean, it can be a year or two or whatever.
Until we.
So do
yeah.
we need anything above and beyond? I guess on our end, do we need to put anything into place to go through the city council above and beyond that?
Okay, and then we could forward that on to and make a recommendation to city council that we, well, that's what we're just trying to know the right pathway to take so that we make it effective. So we'll get a letter from Hooper Irrigation stating that they have put a moratorium on any new secondary water hookups. And based on our ordinances, if we can't provide culinary and secondary, then we can't give them a building permit. Then we can put a moratorium on new building permits for a period of time until we get some water. Right? Commissioners, does that seem peaceful? Okay. I will go talk to Michelle over at Hooper Irrigation tomorrow and see if I can get something from him. And then we'll put it on the agenda for next.
Precept, you'll put that on the agenda for next. Do we need to say anything to have that put on the agenda or not?
I motion that we put it on the agenda for next, just kidding.
Yeah, do we need to state that in the mics or?
And then
Go ahead, Mary.
okay, I'm making a request that that you put an item on the agenda for the planning commission meeting in September, that we talk about moratorium for building permits based on the fact that we don't have any more secondary water offers available for new construction. We want the letter from Hooper Irrigation, and I'll go track down the letter and bring it in, but I want to get on the agenda. I mean, obviously putting ourselves on our own agenda is kind of, but it needs to be publicized.
We need public hearing on that, public comment.
Well, if you publicize it, that's right.
Our ordinance.
You don't need a second or anything on that. It's just already on.
Modifying the ordinance without. Anybody done anything on that?
Don't even know where to start, but I think we should.
I think, again, we just.
Talking about it anyway.
Have a letter next week or next month that says, we as a planning commission are recommending to city council that they consider modifying our ordinance that changes the frontage for medium density.
Put it out.
I think our citizen surveys that we did regarding the general plan, there's a lot of comments about wanting larger lot. Oh, maybe they're only half acre, not more. Look how that crowded feeling.
Yeah. Sounds good. You're gonna do it.
Thank you.
And that'll be on the agenda. Okay.
You guys are all on the advisory committee for the general plan. That's great. That draft that we've received. Quite a- I'd like to read, got to print it out. I got mine. So, did them- Are coming along very well. Hopefully, we can get this completed. Because once we get this complete the way we want, then we have to go through the adoption process. January.
Of September, so that, like, for those in attendance, just get the
I
word
think
out.
we're gonna try and have some maps just on display at the Tomato Days of our future land use map and maybe our parks and trails map, things that people can really get their teeth into. Because current zoning is current zoning, and we're not projecting that into the future. We'll have on display at Tomato Days with, yes. Thousands of people. I actually talked with Sherry today and she said that we could put them right there by her information booth. And maybe just a comment box, not necessarily a representative they're talking. Yeah,
I like the comment box idea better, just because
yeah.
I don't know if the
You didn't-
representative's gonna know everything, and I think it's
Get off in the weeds.
easy to get, and miss
Yeah.
information. I
So
think it would be
it's
better.
just a couple of maps to display and a comment box and it should be located, Sherry said, right there by the information booth. So, okay. Okay, perfect. So that'll be there Friday night as well. Okay, perfect. That's even better. Because we want as much exposure as possible. So that we can get good input when we have our open house on September 21st. Okay. Anything else? Then let's have a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
Motion from Commissioner Prince. Anybody want to second that?
I'll second.
Aye.
Oh, thank you.